Hello, everyone. This is Daniel Slocum. I am an IT asset management technical practice director here at GlideFast, and I want to talk to you today about the new guided setup in the Vancouver release of ServiceNow for SQL Server. This is part of the SAM Vancouver release. Showing you the ServiceNow Vancouver release notes product documentation, and I wanted to just guide you to where you can find the information. So under Vancouver release notes, scrolling then down to learn about the Vancouver release, release notes for upgrading from Utah or not any of the other versions, features and changes by product. And then underneath IT asset management release notes, you'll see software asset management release notes. Once you click on that, you'll have the menu that's in front of you, the screen, and scroll down from the top, software asset management release notes, down into the new in the Vancouver release. And the managed Microsoft SQL Server licensing through guided setup is what we're going to be talking about today. So I'll just click into it, but I don't tend to walk through it in the documentation. You can read that on your own. I'm going to pop into a Vancouver instance. Currently, I'm starting from the reclamation rules, and I'm going to drop into the workspaces. Now, why am I on reclamation rules? And there's no reason except that I wanted to show you something about workspaces if you're not familiar with them. And that is when you access the software asset workspace, it will automatically drop you into the area of the workspace that you were working in last. In this case, I was in the success portal, so it dropped me into the success portal. The SQL Server guided setup can be found not there, but under Home, Guided Setup. So you click on Guided Setup and you see Microsoft SQL Server License Management Guided Setup. There are playbooks in software asset management that you can access from the success portal, but the guided setup right now is limited to Microsoft SQL Server. So the first thing that it presents you with are the prerequisites. I'm going to click edit so you can actually see these. I've already stepped through some of them. So the first thing here on the left, you can see that there are three different listings of instructions for the guided setup: prerequisites, software asset management configurations, and then verify the software asset management configurations. We start with prerequisites, and it has the list of things that you need to accomplish here under prerequisites. So the first one is install software asset management publisher for Microsoft plugin. If you do not have the publisher pack for Microsoft, this is the time to install it. I have it installed, so mark it as complete. The next one here, let me click edit again. Install the ITAM health check application, and you can see it's showing as active. The description, verify the software asset management configuration. So the health check is also installed. Moving on, the next step is to validate that ServiceNow Discovery is installed. I'm not going to actually click into each of these now. You get the drill. We want to make sure that they're active, and this is a little grayed out, but it's showing active. I actually had to install this in this instance, this demo instance, to get it to be active, but you will most likely have this already active in your environment if you're a ServiceNow Discovery customer. Install the latest discovery and service mapping patterns. So this can be found in the ServiceNow store. It is a free plugin that you can add on at any point, and you can download it and install it directly from the ServiceNow store. Or you can navigate to it from the plugin section and search for it inside of your instance, and it will connect to the ServiceNow store and download the details. So then the last step is to actually run a health check on SQL Server CMDB configurations. Now, why would you want to do this at the start? Well, you need to get a baseline. So the first thing you do is you go into the software asset success portal, run a scan on SQL Server CMDB. So I've done that, but I will show you where that is. So in success portal, we execute a scan, and then we choose from the list of scans that are available. We want to run it on SQL Server CMDB. So execute. This really doesn't take terribly long. It checks some tables, some configurations, and checks a few other things. So let's click on view results. So it has a listing of things here that it's looking for, 246 to be exact. It's checking tables. It's looking for different software installations. It's looking for entitlements and a number of other things. So the checks, here we are. We have 8 different checks. One of them is critical, and then it checks the SQL Server suite. So this is not a conversation about how to read scans and how to take action on scans. This is a conversation about the guided setup. So we'll move back to the guided setup now. So we've run the initial scan. So we will then go back to the guided setup and we will click on prerequisites and move on to software asset management configurations. And so here we want to verify that the SQL Server is set up, and it gives us some instructions. Click edit so we can see those. If you're setting up Microsoft SQL Server for the first time, best approach is to create entitlements and software models using publisher part numbers. If you've already set it up, the best approach is to delete and retire the existing software entitlements and models. And then they want you to create entitlements and software models using the publisher part numbers. Now, why is that important? It's important because the publisher part numbers will automatically create the correct models with the correct configurations when you enter them as an attribute on a software entitlement record. It'll also add additional data, such as the discovery map. It will add end of life, end of support, and other lifecycle data, and it will set you up for success. Now, here, if you click into these links, it's going to take you directly to software entitlements for SQL Server. And then, of course, it'll take you to the SQL Server software models. And these were created as demo data in this instance. I did not actually go through and create software entitlements using publisher part numbers, but that is what you want to do. And these links will show that they are done. So this step, make sure that you create your software entitlements and your software models using the publisher part numbers on a software entitlement record. We're going to mark this one complete, click continue. Now, the next step is to look at software installation conditions for Microsoft SQL Server that apply to all SQL Server software models. What is this about? Well, this is leveraging something that's been in SAM since the Jakarta release when it was first released as in ServiceNow, and that is that you have software installation conditions on your software model that can preclude reconciliation from taking account of installations on a specific device based on the condition that you specify. So what does that mean for SQL Server? Well, if you have SQL Server installed in an environment, say a test environment or a lab, and your contract, your terms and conditions allow for those to be present without consuming a license, then this product install condition on the software model will make sure that you don't. And I believe there's also a product install condition table now for SQL Server product install conditions, and you can click new and create those as well. So we're going to mark this as complete. Click continue. And then the next step, we're going to step through the different components of the SQL Server suite. And that in this case is Visual Studio, product install conditions, launch Microsoft SQL development, install condition setup. So we're going to set up install conditions for SQL Server Developer Edition, which typically is not licensed, SQL Server Express Edition, which would be licensed most commonly with an application that leverages SQL Server Express, and then SQL Server Disaster Recovery. So all of these are steps that you need to work through as you install and set up your environment for Microsoft SQL Server. And then the last step is to verify SQL Server asset management configurations. And it wants you to then run the guided setup, run the health check again and compare then your results from the second execution to the first execution. And then the next step would be to create a success goal. So the success portal was created to allow you to track your goals. And your goals then would be goals that lead you to ROI. So creating a success goal for incrementally increasing your effectiveness at managing SQL Server or anything else. Those would be, reclamation rules. And those would be creating other tangible activities or experiences in the product that allow you to realize ROI, be it real ROI from cost savings or cost avoidance, or tangible but more nuanced ROIs such as efficiency gains for employees that are doing things faster because of SAM. And then the last piece, of course, you want to run reconciliation, see how well you have accomplished your goals in achieving compliance with Microsoft SQL Server. So there you have it, Microsoft SQL Server License Management Guided Setup in the Vancouver release.